Peter Jeffrey to the microphone. Peter, you're not that bloody old. Get onto stage. Come on.
And the last luxury. Thanks a million. This is still probably a poem in transit, so there are a few infelicities. Forgive me. When a kite comes into fashion, the particular slogan they have on the particular kites is "Steer yourself to freedom." Okay, gulp. Even though I am still lost in a brooding melancholy on the two-backed beast that she made in Germany, medievally romantic in the orchard and slightly shabby with Christmas dinner in her wooden health sandals, his mother has sent me into the fields where my son, in a parallelism that I could never learn, can make his kite pirouette against the daylight crescent moon, a plastic stingray with twin lines that are glided across his back. And in caution, I cry, look, don't make it do tricks. Let it fly, just straight and sharp. And his reply, look, if you've got good wires, you can do anything. So that soaring up somewhere above the polo ground, the kite is like a blue sperm and it twists on its tail in a sexual gymnastic. Do you want me to go and lift it? No, turn the wire until it's bending backwards. And that leads his son to loop the loop in a perfect earthward rush, inches above the ground. And so, overexposed to such talent, I lie. He's right, and I lurch and cry. On that kite, with its vulgar biological slime, he sees the words, Peter Powell's sky stunter, cunt stuffer, prick stutter. And as that new kite flies across the ground, like a river swallow, a 100-million-year-old bird, it holds a more possessive view like a hawk, and it shows the now, the new, as if it were an insect bite in time. And it takes, he allows him to manage the line of broken baby poles. Anyway, back on deck. On the way back, my son holds the blurb, steer yourself to freedom. And I feel older and on a strange planet. And he walks in front with ease, unsuspecting through the grass. But behind, I panic, and I am terrified of the glass. Thank you.
Okay, well done to Noah and Peter. Brings us back to feature mode, and it's Samantha Melia, and I'll read from the rest of her bio. Now, Samantha relocated to Perth, and she currently lives with her Irish husband and two daughters, Rielton, age 7, and Regan, age 3. Now, Samantha writes about her travels, childhood experiences, birth, death, and her personal journey of self-discovery, experience that shape our consciousness and subconscious mind. She writes to understand and to make those who feel the same as her feel less alone and connected to the collective human experience. And I'll leave it at that because I think the last sentence says what she's going to be saying in any case. So give her applause, please, Samantha Melia.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. We're going to go to New York City now. I lived in the Bronx for 10 years and I left and I came here to Western Australia. I was here 3 weeks and my father died suddenly. He was 58. It was very tragic. And I found myself living up in the northern suburbs, alone, without any support and very heartbroken. And I was thinking about New York and all of these fantastic times my parents came to visit. So I wrote this poem. It's called Angela, Dave, Manhattan and Me. Take me out of here, take me downtown, walk me to the Hudson, wash me in the water, say I am your daughter, walk me into skyscrapers, we'll manically talk all day about what's in the papers. We took the 4 to Chinatown, carried the live lobsters all around, laughed and laughed over and over again. I love your eyes, I wish you could look at me again. I waited for you for years, I walked those Manhattan streets, fighting back the tears, waiting to show you, scribbling down a clue or a line on a dime. I knew you'd love it, I knew you'd get it. It was my town, it was our town, it was anyone's town. Dubliners in the Big Apple, where we walked and talked, swaggered and strutted. The meaning it stuck in our New York. We'd eat it up with a huge knife and fork. You were just like Taxi Driver, our De Niro, stuffed to the gills in Valentinos. Remember the laugh we had? I thought in that moment we'd never again feel sad. I can't even think of New York now without feeling sick because you're dead. That time in Times Square spins around and around inside my head. The old boy on Mulberry Street in Little Italy that wept to you over the loss of his neighbourhood. In that moment, I finally understood the magic of you, the warmth. Even a perfect stranger standing in that light got burnt. Too much humanity. It was almost a calamity, the irony of life. We stood at the top of the Empire State, staring out so far and pondered our fate. And the moments of moments in Central Park, with the smallest blues band, I felt so intrusive when I noticed you reached out to take her hand. It was beautiful. Yous laid on the grass. Movie stars went past, but we didn't even give a care. We just stuck up our heads and gave a quick nosy stare. And just like Frankie Boy crooned, New York, New York, my town, your town, the town. And now, just silence, not even a sound. I miss you, I miss you. I hate that you're not around. Thank you. This next poem, it's called Awake, and it's a play on words because a funeral in Ireland is awake, and I felt like I was more awake after the funeral. Anyway, this is called Awake. I went walking one day. It was a place precious and old to me. In that precious old place I again cried. I saw my mother, deep and still, leaning against the broken old woolen mill. I held her hand for a delicate while, those soft, gentle hands wrapped in black in widow style. She had sewed the stones into the hem of her skirt. Please keep out of the water. I wandered in Ireland trying to feel fire-lit dining rooms I could savour and steal, safe among my Irish people who enjoy feeling persecuted. There's a comfort to familiar pain and path. In the bitter cold, a man said, "You're never lonely beside the fire." And the world said, "Shut your mouth and bury your heart's desire." And my people said, "It's here, it's everywhere, just look up and see." And I said, "Yes, I have my fill. I got it finally when I was gentle, silent and still." This poem it's called The Message. It's about how I went through all the stages of grief, and in the final stage, I got a spiritual connection and an acceptance. So it starts with a quote from Leonard Cohen. We asked for signs, and the signs were sent. The message. I heard my father's voice so clear I heard it twice. It was not a deafening thunderclap. It did not vibrate my body like a drum tattoo rap. It slinked in softly, sweetly humming, between the feathering flaps of those free birds coming. I had concentrated, I had learned to cling to the swishing and swaying of that feathering wing, to the muffled, low, slow, reverent sound. My ear was crisp and ripe, held tightly to the ground. That's how I came to be enveloped in that saving sound. That's how I was washed up in those soaken, spoken words. That's how I was dipped in the waters of my own personal Lourdes. And the secret message that I heard, the healing, victorious knowing that he cared, the saving sentence that crushed the passage of time, deep, dark grief that's been my solitary rhyme. He said, as clear as the ocean's blue, I never left you, I never left you. Thank you. This is my final poem, and I didn't write it. It's written by my favourite Irish writer. His name is Patrick Kavanagh, and it's called Raglan Road, and it's about love and loss, and it's dedicated to Vin there. I'm not going to read it. I'm going to sing it. I just think you can feel it better that way. Anyway, Raglan Road. On Raglan Road of an autumn day, I saw her first and knew that her dark hair would weave a snare that I may one day rue. I saw the danger and I passed along the enchanted way, and I said, let grief be a falling leaf at the dawning of the day. On Grafton Street in November we tripped lightly along the ledge of the deep ravine where can be seen the worth of passion's pledge. The Queen of Hearts still making tarts, and I not making hay. Oh, I love too much, and by such is happiness thrown away. I gave her gifts of the mind, I gave her the secret sign that's known to the artist who has known the true gods of sand and stone, and word and tint without stint. I gave her a poem to say, with her own name there and her own dark hair, like clouds over fields in May. On a quiet street where old ghosts meet, I see her walking now, away from me so hurriedly. My reason must allow that I have loved not as I should. I'm a creature made of clay. When the angels woo the clay, he'll lose his wings at the dawn of the day. Thank you.
Yeah, that deserves another round of applause, please, for Samantha Melia. Okay, it's back to open mic, and it's Gary De Piazzi. He has the unfortunate, he has to follow that. Anyway, up, yeah. Give Gary some encouragement, but not to sing, okay? Anyway.
You want me to sing? No. Look, I am so envious of people that can sing. I'm not even going to try. This is just a poem that I wrote a while ago. It's about a friend who lost a partner. It's a love song of sorts, a love poem of sorts. She will have a sound in the long vowels, in the oohs and ahs that roll forever, across the fields dipped in pleasure, in the cooing of adoration and the moaning of exploration. She will have a sound in the long breath before it's drawn away in his handsome face. Search the ether for the sound of him in some misplaced swell, the gulp of it, and struggle for the smile while eyes scan and discard all denial. She will have the sound in the long dark, in the search and grope for his presence, in the long torture on the road conscience as her dress billows to clouds darkening the sky, and fat raindrop tears sear her butterfly wings. She will have a sound in the long sigh of throwaway dreams, empty rooms, swept absent and reviled like leftover promises that no longer shine, bundled together to yellow with time. She will have her sound in the long tomorrow, captured it in her dream, and sprinkle her todays with it until in the earth she lays to rest beside him. She will have a fill of this long black that reaches to draw her in, hides its teeth with a smile. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Gary. Beautiful words. Next up, we have somebody else who writes beautiful words, and that's Stephen Cole. So make him welcome. And Stephen's right at the back, so you'll have to have continuous applause as he walks to the stage. Okay, matey. Okay.
Right, not left. Everyone has a right to say no. We all declare our rights to talk. People, all people, have rights to talk. Legal rights. Be at peace, no conflicts, to stay in or go out. Everyone has a right. Cars. Drivers should not speed around roundabouts, on the road, near schools, at any time, at any place. On the roads, stop signs, around corners. Please be careful on the streets. Eagles. Playing football, training, hard to win, attain goals, scoring, the crowd, cheers aloud, goal kickers, scoring goals, people hoping their team wins, watching on TV, or at the game. Only one team can win. I'll be watching Silver Mate tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Stephen, and also you also did not get a bolt of lightning from the sky either with that last poem. Okay, next up, and we squeezed her in. Make a welcome, Lynn De Peris.
Yes. And about there? Okay. Well, neither of these are my poems. Before I came here today, I found at the back of my bookcase a poetry book, a 1966 poetry book. In it, a chap called Les A. Murray. And it was one of his very early poems. I'm sure he's hoping for a bit of fame one day, perhaps, you know. Anyway, this poem is called Windy Hill. My cheerful cousin, in his prime, owned Windy Hill, 2 fields of corn, 24 dogs who led a slack, flea-scratching life beneath his shack, and some few cows he milked each dawn. Sing hey for sweet westerlies that blow, October calm and Easter rain. And to neighbours still tells slanderous tales of how he always could derive a profitable dingo scalp from beagle bitch or collie whelp, and yet hung scarecrows up alive. Sing hey for dim westerlies that blow, September smoke and winter moon. Or how he took his pleasure once, and then once more, with keen goodwill. But when his partner sighed for more, stood up, denounced her for a whore, and fled from sin down Windy Hill. Sing hey for soft westerlies that blow, all evil far from autumn days. And he himself tells of the night when, riding home with dangling rein, he proffered a friendly flagon to a silent man the moon shone through, which is more than I'd have done. Sing low for dark westerlies that blow out of the distance of the sky. For my own part, though, I'm sure I'd feel ashamed and out of place defaming such a good, gruff man who now has stout sons of his own, a spacious house, 2 dogs, and peace. Sing hey for rude westerlies that blow, hats over hilltops into spring. Nor would I ask him how it feels, being above such idle slurs, after a wild, wet ride, to creep into a friend's spare bed and sleep in warm sheets, oilskin coat and spurs. Sing hey for calm westerlies that blow, all mischief far from Windy Hill. This is about.
I know, but
how
long does it?
It's 2 little bits.
Otherwise, they make it be 2 little bits.
Okay, this is one of the Butte stories you'll come and hear if you come to our book launch on Thursday night, and it's from Aunt May by Nikki Buller. Aunt May wasn't really our aunt, but over the time that we came to know her, this is how we thought of her as one of the family. Somehow I suspect that what attracted Aunt May was an old car body, forbidden in this particular Verge collection. It soon formed the centerpiece of her new accommodation. You'll have to read the story to know what happens.
Okay, thank you, Lynn. We swing back into features now, and it's Katie Taher, rather. And I don't have a second part of her bio, just to say that her most recent work captures her fascination with seeing ordinary occurrences at extraordinary miracles. So make a welcome again, Katie Taher.
This first poem is called Wrecked Thoughts, and it was written at a beach back home called Wreck Beach. Wrecked Thoughts. At 11 a.m., the beach reminds me what it feels like to be human. Thoughts flow out of my head as the waves roll in and out, like my breath rising and falling in my chest. A sharp contrast in how I feel as one foot steps in front of the other on the soft sand, probably thrown here from China, to how I feel stepping one foot in front of the other on the marble floor of a shopping mall. Glass walls revealing plastic mannequins here to seduce me. Covered in clothes that I do not need, fabric that a woman sewed together, dyed a million miles away before the factory walls came crashing. Staring into beach blogs encrypted with dents and carvings, I am complete. The bark of all that ever needed to be, unlike the uncomfortable state of the 44-year-old mother driving her deep red Range Rover with her 13-year-old daughter who's yelling and vermillionaire lipstick. What if we were made to do nothing but walk on ascending hills and swish through bodies of water as it reflects the clouds above? No way of knowing. So lay with me in the sand where everything was made for the sea. And this one's a haiku called Longings. Mindless, it's kind of funny because it's everything that a haiku usually isn't. But yeah, longings. Mindless we enter, thin foreheads dripping sweat and pulsing stereos. Cranberry vodkas, purple laser lights beaming, shooting stars nestled in a black square room, see wide eyes of a straight blonde with thick eyeliner, pushing her prize ass into mustache man's jeaned crotch. How so many times you hadn't been mine. I was searching for someone to grasp me like that. This next one is called Natural Law. What goes up must come down. That is temporality. That is the rain falling after fusing up in steam and reaching for the sky and resisting to stay falling down, never hesitating, never to return up again after sinking and meeting the ocean. What comes down never stays, and your happiness, my dear, will rise up and trickle again and up and down, sinking you in abyss confusion as nothing and no one has the answers. Abyss confusion until loneliness becomes temporary as everything always makes it up. That is my mother's indigo vase shattered on plywood floor. Pieces of glass rise in her soft, dainty hands. Flowery water mists up after being wiped by red, white cotton. Corner of your lips churn. That is temporality. And this next one I wrote quite recently on my holiday in Bali. It's called The World Needs More Green. I never knew I liked the color green until I walked the streets of Chimangi, surrounded by a million different trees and ferns and shades. The earth's fingers are grass, growing out of its core, like something even comfort dreamed of having. I never knew I liked the color green until I saw the emerald vines covering edges of Canto Lampo waterfall, the moss tint reflection in my mother's eyes, the rice terraces, endless level and endless green that's turned into a million pieces of rice covered in soy sauce in a wooden bowl resting gently on bamboo leaves. Bamboo sticks are bridges hovering over streams, and we jumped from one bridge to the next, shifting our weight with hanging vines hovering, scraping our scalps that's been scrubbed with lemongrass shampoo. It was the mint chocolate chip ice cream we swallowed and the sweetness on my tongue that let me know. And when I read the jade sign with yellow font at the corner of the moped-filled street that read, "The world needs more green," that I knew green is everything. And this last one I've read here before, but I thought it would just be a good way to end things. It's called The Human Condition. All my life, I've been trying to understand gravity and the purple dinosaur that once made me so happy, the microscopes in science labs meant to figure out what is underneath. What are we truly made of? Cells? Blood? Feelings? Void? Time? I've been trying to understand time for a goddamn long time. I once heard that everything you experience is already a memory, which means that time itself is a memory, an illusion made up within us that is said to capture a moment that once happened but is no longer happening, can no longer happen again, the way it already did, just gone, just buzzing through our brain and twirling through yesterday, and we always try to bring it back. I tell stories of times I missed my bus and the awe I felt at the Taj, where Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan spent 22 years building a marble mausoleum surrounded by 16 gardens, 53 fountains, hundreds of trees, a red sandstone mosque facing Mecca, a building identical to the mosque, but not a mosque because it couldn't face Mecca, but was needed for symmetry. All to honor his dead wife. That once happened in time, and now tourists line up for photos to capture a moment, to reminisce, to post on Instagram and say, this happened, but is never going to happen again, never the same way that it was, no purple dinosaur to save us all. And right here, these poems have fallen out of anticipation, have already turned into a memory. Thank you.
Congratulations, Katie, to her. Give her more applause, please, as she makes her way back. We swing back into open mic mode, and it's John McDonough to the microphone, so make him welcome. And give him some applause as he gets here.
Okay, the first one is a love poem, and it's called In Love with a Boy. For those of you who know me well, this may come as a surprise. It may cause you to exclaim, bloody hell, with a widening of your eyes. See, I have a secret I need to tell, and I've come to realise it's time to come out of my shell, as I've lived a life of lies. So no more beating round the bush, now is not the time to be coy, for it seems that shove has come to push. I've fallen in love with a boy, and it's plain for all to see as we walk side by side, that he has fallen in love with me, a pure love that will abide. It's unconditional, we're head over heels. Can't quantify how much I love this guy. It's hard to describe how it feels, but let me have a try. I love him to the moon and back, to infinity and beyond. Like polar opposites, we attract a true magnetic bond. His brown eyes lock onto mine as he lays at my feet. His love for me is divine, it makes me feel complete. I love him from the top of my head right down to my tippy toes. And he loves me from the tip of his tail to the end of his shiny wet nose. Come here, boy. This is a poem about karma, and it's about a little psychopath called Terence Evans. Terence Evans had little respect for the life or the welfare of any insect. He spotted the fly with the rolled Daily News and stamped on the beetle in his Doc Martens shoes. Unfortunate spiders were drowned in the bath. Caterpillars were crushed should they dare cross his path. He bisected worms with his pocket pen knife, pulled the legs off crayfly, then squeezed them from life. This dreadful, thoughtless child showed little or no remorse, while squashing slugs and snails with bricks and gravity's force. He'd net the delicate butterfly and break its paper wings, kill or cripple the cricket by stamping where he sings. He'd incinerate ants by magnifying the sun and mangle the millipede both for spite and for fun. He was wary of wasps and was always take care to trap them in jars and deprive them of air. Now one summer's day, Terence played alone, squashing tiny ants between two slabs of stone, when something grabbed him from behind by the hair and lifted him freely high up in the air. Terence spun around and to his surprise saw a great ugly giant with fiery red eyes. The giant gripped Terence in his large sweaty palms, then with forefinger and thumb ripped off one of his arms. Terence screamed in agony and cried for his mother, but the giant ignored him and tore off another. Terry's body writhed in both pain and fright, for his legs were the next to go, first left, then right. Then with a clap of the giant's hands, poor Terence was no more, for all that remained of Terence Evans lay crumpled on the floor. Thank you. It's a harsh poem, one that I wrote before I had children.
Thank you for that, John. And John's going to be a feature here next week. And so for our final open mic, but then we're going to go into spillover, but our final open mic and make her welcome. It's first timer, Julie Winter. Make her welcome.
Yeah. All right. So I've been backpacking around Australia for like 15 months now. And as a result, I've left a lot of people. Recently, someone left me. And so I wrote this yesterday, and it came out a little bit more dramatic than expected. But, I mean, the moon's in Leo, so... I can't find the words for this. I think you broke my heart. But maybe that's not quite right. And I don't have the words to plaster over the cracks. Not in any language I know. Not in English. Not my mother's tongue. Nor my grandfather's. I look to all the words that I have ever known and try, because I know them. Somewhere I know them. Are they the words I choose when I'm drunk, or the ones I speak in my dreams? What language do I dream in when I'm drunk? I've no idea. All I know is that I think you broke my heart. But I don't do relationships, I told you, and I fucked other people, and you did not. I cut my hair, I got new ink. Was it for you? Because of you? I'm overreacting, underreacting, reacting. I can't blame the moon for this one. And I'm scared to open Instagram, because I know you'll be there, doing the things that we were supposed to do together. Is this what modern love is? I don't have the words to grieve for you, and my eyes won't cry, and I go on breathing, and I'm so sad. And all the words I know sound stupid. But I think you broke my heart. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Julie. Okay, so we're into spillover now, so that means 2 minutes max and no preamble. Okay, so it's Jonathan Mustard to the microphone.
See how we go. This is a poem by Lulit Leshanaku, translated from the Albanian by Ani Gajika. I will read from Negative Space, which is 9 sections long, and we'll see how we go. I think I will get to maybe 1.5. I was born on a Tuesday in April. I didn't cry. Not because I was stunned. I wasn't even mad. I was the lucky egg, trained for gratitude inside the belly for 9 months straight. 2 workers welded bunk beds at the end of the delivery room, one on top of the other. My universe might have been the white lime ceiling, or the embodiment of Einstein's bent space in the aluminium springs of the bed above that curved towards the centre. Neither cold nor warm. It was a clear day, my mother told me. It's hard to believe there were a few romantic evenings when I was conceived, a buzz in the retina and red-laced magma decadently peeling off a silver candlestick. Infants' cries and milk fever turned to salt from the stench of bleach, abrasive, unequivocal. With a piece of cloth wrapped on the end of a stick, the janitor casually extends the negative space of the black and white tiled floor like a mouth of broken teeth, a baleen of darkness sieving out new human destinies. 1968, at the dock, ships arriving from the east dumped punctured rice bags, mice, and the delirium of the Cultural Revolution. A couple of men in uniform cleared out the church in the middle of the night. The locals saw the priest in the yard wearing only his underwear, shivering from the cold. Their eyes, disillusioned, questioned one another. Wasn't he the one who pardoned our sins? Icons burned in front of their eyes, icons and the Holy Scriptures. Witnesses stepped farther back as if looking at love letters nobody dared to claim. Crosses were plucked from graves, and from each mouth spilled irreversible promises. Mounds of dirt the rains would smooth down sooner or later. Children dragged church bells by the tongue. Why didn't they think of this before? Overnight, the dome was demolished, instantly revealing a myriad of nameless stars that chased the crowd like flies on a dead horse.
Okay, so is Ron, are you ready to come up on stage? Okay, right, so it's going to be Ron Oakley and then also Dean Meredith as well. So Dean, okay, so get yourselves ready. Who's ever on stage first? Reads? Oh, it'll be Ron, okay.
Yeah, I'm okay. I hope. Stay by though. Just hang on. This is not a preamble, but it's a very quick thank you so much for last week. It was very, very much appreciated by me and the rest of my family, and it's been wonderful to be able to read the comments on the card and the telephone call too that came. But that's the preamble. No more. I have often experienced, I like sometimes wandering through cemeteries, and you get a bit more interested in cemeteries the older you get, you know. So here's one. It might be a bit over the fence, but we'll see how we go. So we'll call it Over the Fence. Wandering in a graveyard on a wheat-belt country town, I read the town's history row upon orderly row, pioneers, settlers, dignitaries, I missed that bit, I can't see. Oh, headmistresses. Yeah, well, better put it on. Where are we go? Headstones pitted from invasion by wind and weather. A bunch of child graves around the 30s. I've seen it before in other country towns. Measles epidemic. Leaning on the iron perimeter fence, my eyes burning from sun and salt, a glint of sun attracts my gaze. Outside the fence, curiosity drives me to see two tiny crosses. No names. So similar. Could have been twins. Years later, and about 1,000 miles from that particular town, a chance conversation. I was a single mum in that town. Gave birth to twins, both stillborn. They never told me what happened with their little bodies. Oh, we'll look after it, they said. I have often wondered if they had a decent burial. William Wordsworth called it the still sad music of humanity. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Ron. It's Dean Meredith now.
Kings and monsters. The madman slowly reads himself into the story. The fetid toad looks itself into the mirror. The flames are risen again and flaring, from glow to flicker to insensate heat. Their paths contained and righteous with restraint. A horsehair whispers as it goes. And what of this dark wood, lit by fire to shine away? Toad and madman see crawling things, see wings. Embers fly, only to be taken. The blow of freedom from the haunting hearth. Little kings are taken by a raging god. Swollen saps expand, then pop, then seep to ground. A maiden's voice is heard. The wind says nothing. Their watering hole, their mirror, records the night. And there she is again. Did you not hear this time? Toad? Climb into my mirror, she says. I willingly oblige.
Thank you very much for that, Dean, and that's where we've got to begin wrapping up. So apologies to Peter, to Brad and to Ida for not being able to accommodate you. Next week we're going to have John McDonough, Lex Tyson, Catherine Reid and Brad Wallace as our features, so that's something not to be missed. Thank you to the audience. We had 50 plus people in the audience here. Thank you to the heaps of open micers. We haven't had a chance to count them at all, but probably close to 20 open micers. Thank you very, very much to Samantha Melia and to Katie Taher for being wonderful features. Thank you to Ben on sound. Thank you to the Moon Cafe. And seeing that tomorrow is Mother's Day, there's just a short poem to end the gig. Transition. It's time to say farewell again. We should be well practiced after so many visits, so many welcomes, each stay never long enough, each farewell punctuated with, yes, Ma, I'll be back. I'll book the next flight, Christmas or June. What about if you visit? Your heart, I know. The arthritis, yes. Your age, you, now me, both getting old. But with each visit, more certainty that this could be the last one. I know it, you know it. We even crack jokes that to emote a half laugh between us. Midpoint in our journey towards loss and acceptance. See you next week.